Yeah, hi everyone. My name's David, and welcome to E2 Language Grammar session. We're going to focus on verb tenses, and in particular the past tense. So grab a pen, grab a pad, sit comfortably, move, get away from distractions if you can, visual and sound distractions, and we're going to focus on verb tenses. It's quite an excellent short session on the verb tenses with a focus on the past tense. And why is the past tense important? Because most stories are told in the past, told about things that have already happened. So you can reproduce forms of the verb tense in the past in order to convey your ideas, making interesting stories and sequencing ideas in time, which is what the verb tenses do. So let's have a quick look. Before we get started, don't forget that you can access a lot of practice materials from the platform, and it's a good idea to get feedback on your results from the assessments that you do from the platform. Yep, the idea is to learn the method, practice the method, get feedback. I've had a lot of students lately who've turned up to tutorials to get feedback on their results, which is a really good idea. It's also a very good idea to turn up for test preparation to reflect on your results and what you need to improve before test day. Practice all the English skills, and don't worry about checking your Zoom because you're live on YouTube, and you're reacting to YouTube in the sessions to come. So we're going to do a dictation. We're going to do a verb tense mega review, which means we're going to look at one slide, which is an overview. We're going to do some practice, some Q&As. Now, I'm going to work this out. I'm going to read a dictation to you, and I want you to write it down. Now, the thing is that you're going to see the dictation at the same time as I'm writing it. So what you're going to do is recognize the verb forms as I read the dictation to you. Here's the first one. Now, you can block your eyes and just listen and write it down. When she came home, the dog was barking because it had been alone all day and the cat had been stealing its food. I'll read it again. When she came home, the dog was barking because it had been alone all day and the cat had been stealing its food. So write down what you heard. Here's the second one. Again, don't look at the screen, just listen. I usually order takeaway on Saturdays, but I've had a terrible week and I've been fasting for 24 hours, so I'm ordering pizza now. I usually order takeaway on Saturdays, but I've had a terrible week and I've been fasting for 24 hours, so I'm ordering pizza now. Do we get it? And the third one, again, don't look, just listen and write if you've got a pen in your hand there. By December, the world will have been living with coronavirus for almost a year. I won't have seen my family for 9 months, but I'll be happy because I'll be hosting Christmas at my new house. Here it is again. Remember, it's forms of the past. By December, actually, that's not true. These are forms of the future. So in this one, by December, in the future, the world will have been living with coronavirus for almost a year. I won't have seen my family for 9 months, but I'll be happy because I'll be hosting Christmas at my new house. Wow. Okay. So what we've got in that case is past, present, and future. And hopefully you wrote down as much as you could. We're going to get it. Here's the overview of the whole business. Now, when we say the whole business, that's past, present, future, simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. So the whole business this is about 80 to 85% of all verbs in English. The rest are modals and passives and some other forms and conditionals. But what we're looking at here are the major verb tenses, past, present, and future, and forms of them. So get excited because once you understand this, you're going to be able to actively construct and use these verb forms in your writing and your speaking. So past simple, past continuous, past perfect continuous, present simple, present continuous, present perfect continuous, future simple, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous. So simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. It's well worthwhile taking a screenshot of that or photographing it with your camera or your phone and looking at the forms and then the examples. So in fact, it describes the usage and then gives that the verb produces that verb in a sentence that makes grammatical sense, and you can see how it works. It's a good idea to read those out to yourself as well. So simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. Past, present, and future. If you can produce all of those forms, you're going to score well in tests because you will show a grammatical range and accuracy in your writing and in your speaking. All right, it's one of the keys to success. Now we're going to focus on the past tenses. So this is what we heard. When she came home, the dog was barking because it had been alone all day and the cat had been stealing its food. Simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. Simple shows past habits or action already completed. Continuous, an incomplete action. We used to call it imperfect at the same time as another action. So the continuous verb tense can only exist when other verb tense, a single action happens, another action, which could be simple or perfect. The perfect form of the verb indicates a completed action, and that's what perfect means. It means complete, not incomplete, but complete. In the past, in this case, that happened before another event. So it's part of a sequence of events. And the perfect continuous is a great one because it indicates that there are two actions which are both in the past, and the one began earlier, uses this tense, which is why we call it the far past, which is the perfect past perfect continuous. All right. When she came home, past simple, the dog was barking. Past, because it's a past is past form of was, is. Barking, because it's ongoing, ing, because it had been, singular event in the past, alone all day. And the cat had been stealing, ongoing past, its food. Okay, now you guys are going to get very good at it. Past simple, past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous. All right, when she came home, if we see that we're now is here, things in the past are all before now, yep? So when she came home, single event, the dog, ongoing, was barking because over a period of time it had been alone all day, and the cat, repeated action, had been stealing its food. So that visual describes or represents the sequence of events in relation to each other and the period of time that they occurred for. Okay, we get it? Awesome. All right. Now, what's going on here? Somebody with scales in their hand and a sort of a text. People looks like they're protesting. Squiggly marks and death. When the government, the new law people in the streets, because the problems for years and many people can become, when the government introduced the new law, people were protesting in the streets because the problems had been happening for years and many people had died. Single event, ongoing, continuous ongoing, and then a result of that past perfect had died. Yeah, now I can sense you're understanding it because you're processing the relationship between events, the duration of those events, and the periods of time in which they occurred in relation to each other. Awesome. When I got my first job, now you're already thinking the answer. What were you doing when you got your first job? I was planning to go overseas. I was living at home with my parents. Past simple and continuous. So at the same time as you were living with your parents, you got your first job. When I finished high school, ongoing past continuous. Hang on a moment. Looks like we've cut out, but I'm not sure that we have. hopefully we're continuing to record. So when something in the past had been ongoing, ongoing event in the past, it was before now. So when I had been ongoing in the past, when I finished high school, single event, ongoing event in the past, I had been studying maths for 12 years. So continuously ongoing event, completed but ongoing in the past, had been studying, single event in the past, finished once and once only. So when I finished high school, negative, I had never been overseas. Now we can make questions using the past forms of the past: simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. So how long can you give any of these a go? Now, you're most welcome watching this on YouTube to pause and create your own answers, or I'm going to go ahead and create them for you. So press pause if you're watching as a recording. If you're live now, just give 30 seconds. We'll give a few seconds, not 30 seconds. We'll give a few seconds while you dream up your answers, and then I'll give you some examples. Correct forms of the past. Got some ideas? We're thinking them, we're talking them out loud, we're writing them down. All right. How long had you, because it's over and complete in the past, been preparing, complete, ongoing in the past, for IELTS before you began studying with us? So, a point in time, you began studying. Prior to that, you had been preparing. And the question is, how long for? Past, far past, perfect. Had you ever driven a car before you turned 18? So prior to that event when you turned 18, had you ever driven a car? How many Australians had you met? Past perfect, before me. Okay, you've got answers for those, but you're also using question form, because remember, we're going to practice statement, negative, and question form of the verb. Now, give this a go. If you're watching this in recording, press record and play around with forms of the verb in relation to each other and check your answers. Now, the golden rule is learn by mistakes. So if you do happen to make errors, we're going to check the answers. Don't panic. We will work out what is accurate. If you did get it correct first time, it is amazing feeling. If you didn't, we're going to get it right soon. So the idea is that we're going to explore. We're going to change the root verbs into the correct form to make grammatical sense of the form of the verb in relation to other verbs in the sentence in a time sequence. So there are better ways of saying that, but they're all related to each other in the events, which are events that are done or have been done or had been done in the past, completed events in along a time frame in relation to each other. And what we're looking at here is a non-fiction text. So we're looking at data from the past in relation to each other. So it's very important. So that should be enough time for you to challenge yourself. Now let's have a look. I'm going to read it. So here, because that's the other way of learning this information, is to read aloud and study the verb forms and then read aloud your own written responses, because you will hear errors. When the Hayden expedition explored Yellowstone in the late 1800s, wolf packs roamed or were roaming the park. But by the end of the 1920s, people had hunted, past perfect, grey wolves to extinction. They had pursued wolves with more determination than any other animal in United States history. 70 years later, as attitudes towards wild ecosystems changed or were changing, people began questioning whether a wolfless Yellowstone environment was a healthy one. Once the wolves were gone, the elk population exploded and they grazed their way across the landscape, killing young brush and trees. As early as the 1930s, scientists were alarmed by the degradation and were worried about erosion and plants dying off. Wow, we're in charge of the verbs, yeah? And that's what we do is we master the forms. Here they are again: simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous for forms of the past. And there is their usage. Now, we've only been doing this for 15 minutes. In a very short space of time, you can master your understanding of verb tenses. And I know that when we teach this in class, students get very excited because it explains what we've been doing ongoing for a long period of time that you may or may not have known, but it does consolidate your understanding clearly. So now you can objectify verb forms. Exciting day, isn't it? Okay, so extra practice is on the platform. Do the practice tasks, then the assessments. Now, this will affect your writing and your speaking. So, if you're doing IELTS, if you use grammatical range and accuracy in all of your answers, but particularly in part two, you're going to score a higher grade. Now, that's the good news. And it'll be the same for all the other tests as well for PTE. And when you're doing OET, you want to always have your events in the correct sequence in relation to each other. Yep. When you're communicating with other professionals, as well as being examined, and then in whatever form of work you do, communication, strictly correct communication is what you're after, because there's a formality to the way that you express yourself, and mastering the verb forms will enable you to express yourself clearly and be understood without doubt. Practice all the English skills: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Listen to podcasts, watch movies, listening, put the closed captions on. Practice reading it's not practicing reading, it is reading. So read fiction and non-fiction. Observe the word forms, the grammar, the punctuation, and the spelling. And speaking practice, give yourself as many opportunities as you can to practice your English speaking with other English speakers. Register and join the live classes, yep, which is awesome to do. It means that you're going to interact with the teacher in the chat box, and you're going to interact with the other students as well, seeing what level they're at. One of the good things to do is to recognize you're not alone, and there are lots of other people doing what you're doing, and you can join a class to join in with them and see what they're up to. Take the mock test. We've taken lots of those recently, or I've been involved in lots of those recently, where students take the mock test and then we give them feedback, which is to give you critical feedback on each of the tasks that you studied in the test, so that you can know how well you're going to do on test day, and you can give yourself assurance that you do know what you're doing. For currently enrolled test prep students, what you need to do is to take advantage of the mock tests, the live classes, the tutorials, and also the small group classes that are available to you too. So in closed classes, we expect up to 5 people, but often what happens is 1 or 2 students turn up at the times that we've got those classes, and you can be 1 or 2 of those students. Awesome, isn't it? So you've got a chance to practice your skills in a small class, or have a one-to-one tutorial. Yep, and turn up to the live classes. So you can do a combination of all of those. The one-to-one tutorials are a 45-minute private session between you and one of our highly qualified teachers. You can choose the time that suits you, and also identify which topics or skills you want to study on in that short period of time, and that's what the tutor or the teacher will do with you, as well as giving you comprehensive feedback on your speaking and writing assessments or mock test, and talk that through those results with you. One of the most important things is to get feedback on your work, your output, your speaking, or your writing. Thanks for joining. It's been a pleasure to have you here. It's always exciting to study verb tenses, because once we master them, we make fewer mistakes. So you're going to write sentences with fewer errors, as well as be complimented and receive recognition for your use of variety of grammar. So what they're after is accuracy and variety, and verb forms will represent your skill set, enabling the examiner to give you the grade that will credit you with for your work. Well done. Awesome. Hopefully see you live again soon. And thanks for being here. My name's David. Take care. See you soon.